And we'll go ahead and get started. So as I said, my name is Colin Conroy. I'm the admissions representative for Pasco, Hillsborough, and Pinellas County. I'm one of the associate directors in our office, so my team helps manage and recruit most of the state of Florida. Prior to this role, I was a teacher for 10 years. I taught 5th grade math and science before switching over to higher ed. I'm a double Gator. I graduated both my undergrad and grad school in education. I moved away, taught, and then came back here to Gainesville. I'm also a Gainesville native, so when I talk about Gainesville, I may sound a little bit biased, but I promise it's a great place to grow up, great place to go to school, and now it's a great place to kind of raise my family. So I'm happy to be part of the Gator Nation going forward. All right, so for those of you who don't know, we are a top 5 institution. This is something that we kind of made it our goal about a decade ago to kind of hit with Dr. Machin and now Dr. Fox, and now we're moving on to our new president, Dr. Sass. But it's a goal that we've really worked hard on. A big part of that is amazing students that we continue to recruit and amazing staff and faculty that we've hired here at the University of Florida. So a lot goes into this, but we are more than just this ranking. Is it something we're proud of? Of course, but what comes with this is a lot of amazing things that help support you as a student should you choose to come here to the University of Florida. So we'll kind of get started about what our application process looks like. Before we do though, if you can just put in the chat, if you're a junior, freshman, sophomore, senior, wherever you are, just so I have an idea kind of how to direct this conversation going forward. If you do just take about 15, 20 seconds, type in chat where you're currently at, and we can kind of drive from there. All right, some juniors, sophomores, freshmen. Okay, great. All right, so whether you're a freshman, junior, or sophomore, any of the dates I'm about to show you on our next slide are going to apply to you. So basically, we try to keep the dates and deadlines exactly the same from year to year. That way, there's no question kind of figure out, oh, when should I apply? When does the app open up? When do I need to get these items in? So we do try to keep it consistent. That's not to say there aren't exceptions. Obviously, we live in Florida. Hurricanes happen. So this was one of the years where we had a bunch of hurricanes. So we did, in fact, move our deadline back a little bit this year. So assuming we're in a normal year, no hurricanes, these are the deadlines that you see coming up should be the same from year to year. So we are only on the Common App. In years past, we'd also been on the Coalition, but they changed some things in their systems that we didn't have time to kind of work through all the bugs this year. So we're only on the Common App. What the Common App does, it allows you to apply to multiple colleges and institutions using one general profile, and then you can add your interested colleges that you want as you go. So UF is one of the ones, if you're interested in, that you would want to add to it. There is a $30 application fee, and we do have fee waivers available. Those fee waivers are, that question is embedded into the actual application itself within Common App. So basically, if you meet those conditions, then that fee will be waived at the time of application. So we don't want the fee to be a barrier to why you choose or choose not to apply to UF. So if you want to apply to us, we do have those waivers available if $30 is a hardship for you. All right, so as I mentioned, these are the dates and deadlines that our typical cycle runs. So for this junior class right now, in August is when the application should open up. Now that August 8th one, plus or minus a few days, that was for this past cycle, which we just released decisions on Friday on. But usually mid-August is pretty typical for when that actual application opens up. That's not to say that you can't go in and create your Common App profile early. You're welcome to finish up the general information in there. So once our UF application opens up, you're able just to add on, and we'll migrate that information over, from that personal biographical information. October 1st is not a deadline that's specific to us. That is the deadline for when the FAFSA opens up. So if you're looking for any type of financial aid, the sooner you do that, the larger that pot of money is. So I even recommend to students, even if they don't think they're going to be getting financial aid or they don't think they need it, still apply for it. It helps our financial aid office a lot, especially when we're trying to package those financial aid packages for our admitted students once they come in. So typically those by mid-March is when our financial aid offers go out. So in a couple of weeks, our newest class should get those offers to them. This big deadline that you see here, November 1st, is going to be one of the most important deadlines that you want to make sure you meet. So at UF, we do not have an early decision or early application. Basically, we have a priority deadline and a space available deadline. So our space available deadline is actually today, March 1st. However, just as it sounds in name, it is on a space available basis. So most of our decisions that we release are going to admitted students are going to come from that priority deadline of November 1st. We don't have our most up-to-date numbers from this year. We're still looking over that. But last year's cycle, we had about 60,000 applications and we admitted about 15,000. Admitted from that second round, that number is very, very low. It shrinks exponentially. So your best chance to be most competitive is to make sure you're meeting that November 1st deadline. Now, there is no prize for being first or last. And when you submit that application, I typically recommend to students to kind of wait a little bit. Main reason, once you submit your application, that application is then locked down. You're not able to add any additional awards. You're not able to add in any additional leadership opportunities that you've been given, especially senior year. So usually I try to say, wait a little bit, make sure there's nothing going to be happening senior year that you want to, that's important that you would want to add to your application. So don't wait. I mean, you can wait till Halloween night, but maybe for your parents' sanity and your sanity, let's try not to. But find a happy medium in there between September and October to kind of make sure you're putting a concerted effort in there so that, you know, you can put your best foot forward when we get that application. The next deadline that you're going to see there is November 15th. That's when the STAR is due. So here at UF, we do not require you to send us any transcripts ahead of time. So please do not do that. That's only for our students who have international coursework or for more than a year. So basically for you, you're going to self-report all of your scores to our office in terms of what classes you were taking and the grades you earned in them. So I would still recommend that you get a hard copy of your transcript. That way you're not trying to guess what grades you got during 8th grade or 9th grade or 10th grade, whatever the case may be. And then you can kind of make sure you've got those going forward. The next deadline that you're going to see there is December 1st, which is our test score submission deadline. You are able to self-report your scores. So feel free, once you log in to your status page, which is what you'll get after you apply, you can actually input those scores directly in there, or you can have them sent directly from the testing agency. So either SAT or ACT, it does not matter to us. We don't have a preference, but it is a state of Florida requirement that you do have test scores on file. So that's not something that we can waive. We are not test optional like a lot of other states are. That's something controlled by our board of governors who oversee all the universities, state public universities here in the state of Florida. In order to stay in that priority deadline, that priority application review, you need to make sure you meet all three of those deadlines. So in this case, that's November 1st, the 15th, and December 1st. If you meet all three of those deadlines, you will receive a decision the last Friday in February. So this year, that was February 24th. So this past Friday, we released all of our decisions in that priority deadline. So that's when you'll find out whether you're accepted in the honors, if you're a general education student, Gator Engineering, PACE, Innovation Academy, and we'll cover what those programs look like in just a few minutes and some of our later slides there. As I mentioned, mid-March is when financial aid offers are available from UF. So all students are automatically considered for merit-based scholarships at the time of application. You don't have to have anything else in file. And then we'll make our review going forward from that. May 1st is our tuition deposit deadline. So basically, this just kind of confirms your spot here at UF. There are tuition deposits waivers available. So if that's something you need, you can. But basically, think of this as an initial payment on your tuition. So it's not like, basically, if you don't pay, you're still going to be paying it later when you do decide, if you are admitted and you do decide to come to UF, but we can waive it for the initial deposit to continue at UF. July 15th is when we need all of your final official transcripts. So as I mentioned, back in November, when you submit your STAR, eventually we will need your final transcripts to confirm that everything you entered does look correct. So if you're taking IB classes or AP classes or dual enrollment or Cambridge, whatever the case may be, that the level and grades do match up. So we want to make sure that everything is in line with what you were had submitted before there. I'll just take a brief second. Are there any questions about any of these dates and deadlines before I move on to the next slide? You can feel free to put them in the chat. All right, not seeing any. I'll go ahead and go on to our next slide. All right, so here at UF, we do review holistically. Basically, what that means is we're going to look at both your academic and non-academic achievements, okay? As far as the academic is concerned, that review is pretty straightforward. We're going to look at your high school grades. We're going to look at the rigor of your course schedule, your academic GPA, and your test scores. So in terms of the rigor of your schedule, we're looking at, are you taking honors courses, IB, dual enrollment, Cambridge, basically whatever high level of rigor is available at your school, are you taking advantage of those options? So some schools may only offer AP courses, that's fine. Some may be dual enrollment courses, that's right too. So we're going to look at those as the same level of rigor. in terms of what you're taking. Basically, when we recalculate your academic GPA, you're going to get an extra half point for any honors courses that you took. You're going to get an extra full point for anything that you took that was AP, IB, or Cambridge, and then anything you took at dual enrollment that falls under a core academic subject area is going to get you a full point of weight. So on the next slide, when I show you what our middle 50% look like for last year's class, you'll kind of be able to figure out where we got some of those GPAs from. In terms of the non-academic review, we're going to look at a variety of items. So we'll look at your extracurricular activities, your volunteer work, your family responsibilities, talent, abilities, your essay, all right, honors and awards, your personal background, and extenuating circumstances. So the $1 million question students always ask is, well, how do I get into UF? What's the one thing I need? And the truth is, there is not one thing that you need. We're looking for well-rounded individuals who've got different different academic strengths, different non-academic strengths, so that we can kind of build our best class and admit them into the fall or the summer start here. I would say when you focus on your non-academic information, make sure you're giving us a clear picture of who you are. Give us as many data points as you can, right? When we're making a review of that information, we can only go off of what you've submitted to us. We can't make any assumptions about our students. We can't guess what a certain club means, especially if you've abbreviated it or put it at, an acronym for it. Be as descriptive and as clear as possible so we know exactly what you're doing. And then be firm and clear in your time commitments, right? If you're volunteering 3 times a week, let us know. And then what are you doing during that time? Or if you have you travel for sports, all right? Are you a captain? What are some of your achievements within that sport? All right, just saying I played football or I did dance doesn't tell us enough about what that commitment is for you. So give us some background and some context into all of those things. And then your essay, think of that as your interview with us as the reader, right? We here at UF, we get too many applications to be able to interview all of our applicants. So think of this as the interview with us. Make sure you are the focus of that essay. I will say a lot of times I've read some great essays that end up being more about their parents or teachers or coaches. So let those people be part of your story, but don't let that be the story that you're telling me as the reader, okay? And then there's also a couple other short answer questions on there to let us know, is there anything else that you want us to know as a reader about you? Is there anything, do you have any other commitments in terms of work that are work related, that are family related, any hardships you may have gone through, anything you're really proud of, extra skills that you're, want us to know about? But like I said, we're looking for as many data points to build that complete picture of our students going forward. And then we'll use that in context with our academic review to make a recommendation to be released in February. Oops. So here is our middle 50% for our admitted class from last year. So you can see the weighted GPA, recalculated GPA was 4.4 to 4.6. SAT was 13 to 1490 and ACT was 30 to 34. The test scores can be super scored. So if you took the SAT more than once, we will only see your top sections. If you took the ACT more than once, we'll also only see your top sections. And as I mentioned, this is only one part of the review. Okay, so we're not looking at just numbers alone to kind of build that class. So if you feel like you're lower in one of these, you can always balance that out with another area in your application. And this is the GPA that we use and recalculate. So that GPA that you see there is not what the high school reports to us. It's not what you report to us in high school. All right, it's what we get, our system gets when you input your grades. And we use our weighting scale that I mentioned earlier. So once again, that's a half point for any honors courses and a full point for any AP, IB, or Cambridge courses, and an extra full point for anything in dual enrollment that is in a core academic subject area. And then obviously, as this is a multi, we have students above and below these lines. So we don't have any set minimums. Like I said, it's one part of that score. When you apply to UF, there's a couple of different pathways that you can be admitted into. Number one is obviously you can start in either the summer or the fall. Please note that we do not admit by term. So when you apply, you indicate your preferred starting term, and we do our best to match it. But unfortunately, everyone wants to start in the fall for the most part, and we don't have space to start everyone in the fall. So about a third of our students will start in the summer session. So I typically recommend trying to start in the summer. It's a nice way to kind of get yourself acclimated to campus. It's a little bit slower pace, and you can kind of take 1 or 2 courses to kind of get your feet wet and kind of see what it means to take that college level course. Other points of entry you'll see here on the screen for pathways. We have Innovation Academy, our PACE program, Gator Engineering, and Gator Design and Construction. of all of these programs, Innovation Academy is the only one that you're actually going to apply for. So how Innovation Academy works is it works with about 30 different majors on our campus. And the biggest difference between Innovation Academy and any other program we have is that it's a different schedule. So they start in the spring, they take classes in the summer, and the fall is left open. So at no point will students in the Innovation Academy take classes in person on campus in the fall. They can choose to take classes online in the fall, they can study abroad, they can work, they can do an internship, but they won't physically take classes on campus during that fall term. Bright Futures can still be used for those spring and summer terms. They do have the exception made for that. But it's a little bit different schedule. It does offer a minor in innovation and creativity. So if you consider yourself to be an entrepreneurial student, you like to work collaboratively with people, it might be a good program for you to look at. PACE stands for Pathway to Campus Enrollment. So this program is actually chosen for you. So after we've made our decisions that go out to our students who are starting in the summer or the fall, we'll look at any student who indicated a PACE eligible major, of which there are about 60 different majors. So if we were not able to offer a term starting in the fall or the summer, and you indicated a PACE eligible major, we can consider you for the PACE program. How PACE works is it's a hybrid between UF Online and UF on campus. So essentially, you'll do your first about 2 years, maybe a little less, depending on how many credits you have. Once you complete a minimum of 2 semesters through UF Online, you've completed 60 credits, and you've completed all prerequisites for your major. It's an automatic transition onto campus. You do not have to reapply. If you are in PACE, you can still be an active Gator on campus. You can still join our clubs. We do have an optional fee package. So if you want to, use our bus system, if you want to go to sporting events, you want to use our healthcare center, you can still do that as a PACE student. So you can still be active and involved. So many students in PACE program will still move to Gainesville. You just won't take classes in person until you meet those requirements and then transition over to on campus. Gator Engineering and Gator Design and Construction is another pathway program that's chosen for you. And essentially you will start at Santa Fe, which is our state college here in Gainesville. You complete all the prerequisites for either of those programs that you have been entered into. And then once again, it's an automatic transition onto campus after those prerequisites are complete. Gator Engineering and Gator Design and Construction typically require you to do, it's about 3 semesters over there. And obviously you can use AP credit, IB credit, dual enrollment credit you've already had, Cambridge credit to get towards some of those prerequisites. And the same thing goes for PACE. When you apply to UF, you can also choose to apply to our honors program. There is no downside to applying. If you are not admitted into honors, it's not going to affect your general admission review. So there's plenty of students this year that apply for honors. We're not admitted to honors, but we're still accepted as a general education student. So the honors does offer some cool benefits, gives you some personalized access to faculty members, has some unique honors courses that are taught by some of the faculty, and some of those classes are restricted to 15 students or less, which is pretty cool. Also, starting with your second semester, you can register early. So before the general population of students, you'll be able to register for those courses. And right now, the Hume dorm is the current honors dorm, but we are currently finishing up building our honors village. So if you look at this picture at the bottom of the screen here, this is our new honors dorm, which should be hopefully everything stays on schedule, available for students in this fall. If not, I would guess early spring, but the fall is our goal to have that open for students. Honors is very cool because it also has it's a very supportive network of students. So they're very big on collaboration over competition. They want students working together. And also it's got some really cool research opportunities that are directed at and targeted only at honors students. Our Promise program is another point of entry for our students. So the Promise program provides additional support to students. And so basically these students come in during the summer term. They have access to free tutoring. They have access to mentors. They'll all live in the living learning community, and it also provides a scholarship to help cover those summer B costs. So it's a pretty cool program that offers students that need that extra support to transition from high school to college, and we want to make sure it's as seamlessly as possible. So once again, it is not something you apply to, but it is chosen for you, and it works in partnership with our Office of Academic Support. As I mentioned earlier, all students are considered for merit-based scholarships at the time of application. We also have some need-based scholarships and grants available as well. One of our largest one is our Mackin Florida Opportunity Scholars Program, which is targeted at historically low-income first-generation college students to help meet their college costs. So biggest thing, make sure you have that FAFSA on file, and then our financial aid office review to see if you meet the requirements for it, and then we can hopefully give that grant and scholarship package to you. But basically, it provides a full cost of attendance for all 4 years that student is at UF, which is pretty cool because not only does it cover tuition, but it also covers room and board to kind of make that college transition, one less thing to kind of worry about. So last cycle, we gave out about 400 of these scholarships. So that's a pretty good number and something that I would hope we continue to do in the future. As far as your undergraduate programs here at UF, we are major blind when you apply, so we're not going to lock you into any major or anything like that. You can change essentially up until the end of your sophomore year, which is kind of cool. So you can kind of take that first semester, kind of figure out what it is that I want to do, and then kind of go from there. We have over 120 different undergraduate programs to choose from. I think I changed my major 2 or 3 times by the time I decided on education. So I was really glad that UF does not lock you into that. You can choose to be a professional student if you want. We've got 200 grad programs and all 5 professional schools on campus. So you could be here for many years if you so choose to do that. So there's not many institutions in the entire country that can kind of match the amount of programs that we have and the kind of support and the amazing faculty that we have here as well. Recently, we've made a huge push in artificial intelligence here on campus. So we currently have the world's fastest supercomputer, goes by the name HyperGator, and it's also the world's fastest supercomputer owned directly by a college institution. So it helps do a lot of cool research and digesting a lot of data for students and faculty and other researchers that we have here on campus. And then regardless of your major, we also have a 9-credit artificial intelligence certificate that you can add to your majors. If artificial intelligence is something you're interested in, we definitely have ways to kind of weave that into your chosen major or minor here on campus. Obviously, it's important that we have fun while we're here on campus as well. So you'll see that we've got over 1,000 different student organizations. Basically, if you name it, you can think of it, we probably have it here. If you're a Harry Potter fan, we have a Quidditch team. Last I checked, we had a skydiving team. I think they went by the name Fallen Gators. Another popular club here on campus is Gators vs. Zombies, which is basically like a giant campus-wide Nerf dart tournament. So they, usually they get together either outside or sometimes in the O'Connell Center, which is where we host our basketball games, and then kind of have, like I said, a giant Nerf dart tournament, which is a pretty cool thing to do. Obviously, your experience is going to vary based upon, how active you want to be. So I'll always tell students you can be as active as you want to be here on campus. So if you want to be active, do it. If you don't, but I'd say you're missing out because there's lots of great things that you can be doing here. For me personally, when I was here at UF, I joined a few clubs and I did a lot of sports. Wasn't good enough, obviously, to be on D1, but intramurals is kind of where I got my sport fix. So I won a couple of intramural championships, so I hold on to those shirts dearly. My wife keeps trying to get rid of them, but I hold on to them because I'm proud of those intramural championships. So it's a lot of fun things with your friends. Some of these are competitive, some of these are just for fun. So it's a good time, but I would say you have your opportunity to find your own micro community here on campus. Our newly open Center for Inclusion and Multicultural Engagement Center helps celebrate and empower diverse communities and advocates for an inclusive campus from all students across all identities. So we want to make sure that everyone finds their place on campus. So it's housed in the Rights Union, and they do a great job at the beginning of each term, kind of helping connect students to make sure that they feel like they have that micro community here on campus to help support them in whatever they choose to do. So with that being said, I will take some questions. So if you want to put them in the chat, I'll be happy to answer them. And like I said, this next session, we'll kind of start our Q&A, and then I'll be back for a full review of our information slideshow back at the top of the hour. So any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll kind of answer those live on campus, live on camera as they come through. Thanks for joining.